following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down. Handoff. Elliott plowing to the goal line. Buried. Sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Heckma Harrison, Rob Phillips, and Kyle Yeomans.
For the second straight day, we bring you Talking Cowboys. How about that? 2 in a row here on 9:30 as I'm actually in studio, the SWBC Mortgage Studios. We're still virtual. We're still rolling from different spots overall, but we're glad to have you with us here on Talking Cowboys as we continue leading up to game week and the Los Angeles Rams Sunday Night Football at 7:20. Kyle Yeomans alongside Rob Phillips, Heckma Harrison, and our resident Super Bowl champion, Isaiah Stanback. Guys, it's 4 days away. I saw the Cowboys posted today that it was Dak days away, and so I feel like that's a pretty fitting way to describe it. But overall, it's inching up. You're starting to kind of dive into these matchups. We're going to preview both the Rams offense and the Rams defense over the next 2 days. Today is specifically going to be centered around the offense, and then we'll move into the defense tomorrow. However, we do have some Rams defensive breaking news, and I just before we went on, actually about 20 seconds before we went on, Chris Beam, our producer in the back, was the one that broke the news to us. But Isaiah, I know you've got the numbers. Jalen Ramsey just signed his new deal. Yeah. He's been waiting on it for a long time. It was actually a centerpiece in the HBO series of Hard Knocks this year, and he turns around and actually gets it signed today. What were the specifics on that deal, Isaiah?
Man, it looks like we got 5 years, up to $105 million with $71.2 million guaranteed. Whoa! Mr. Motormouth will be talking a lot this Sunday. He will be talking a lot. Golly.
Goodness.
He's got that Brinks truck for real now, right?
$71 million guaranteed.
That's the highest paid DB contract ever, I think.
Has to be. We're talking about that's quarterback money.
That's
an insane amount of money, and you look at what he was making previously. He was on a 4-year deal, which was $23.3 million. I believe that was signed during his time in Jacksonville before he was actually traded over and became a part of the Los Angeles Rams. So you see, he got a little bit of a raise. He got a raise, and he's somebody who.
Well, hey, Kyle, just a little bit of a raise, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's a raise that I know I would at least want to be a part of my paycheck, but it's okay. I'm not going to get into that. I could get a house. We could do so many different things. But somebody else who got a new deal was actually on the Cowboys side of things. Randy Gregory signed his new deal in an extension yesterday, as reported by ESPN and Ian Rappaport, and also Zach Martin restructuring his deal as well. Rob, what were some of the specifics on each of those new deals? One an extension, one what's it called? A restructuring for Zach Martin, Rob.
Yeah, that's something the Cowboys do with some of their cornerstone guys, and it's just a way to kind of move money around and create some money for probably mostly for next year. When you're thinking about Dak Prescott and a potential franchise tag again to keep negotiating throughout the offseason. They did it with Tyron Smith a couple weeks ago, restructuring his deal. And then Gregory, he is now signed through 2021. He was set to be a restricted free agent after this season, and it was something the Cowboys were looking at doing in the past, but it couldn't happen because of his suspension. So now he's got a couple years at least with the Cowboys.
Hey, Rob, you know what everybody's thinking, that restructuring of Zach Martin, that money is for you-know-who, right? So, I'm just saying. I'm not going to start that. Not this show.
I'm just looking.
Well, that was what was the Tyron restructure was the day the man you're talking about got released from a certain team in the AFC North. So, yeah, connect the dots and all that. I think it's for next year. But it's fun to talk about. It's fun to talk about.
I just loved looking up at Isaiah's
I can't wait for Monday's show.
I was just a big fan of Isaiah's face, and he was just like looking around like, oh, are we getting into this again? Can I smell it coming? Is this going to happen again overall? But I think I'm right there with you, Rob. I think this is a next year move. I think this is freeing up cap space for potentially trying to bring back your quarterback. I think that's probably the number one priority in everyone's mind going into next year. So potentially restructuring Zach Martin could help that out moving forward. But
well, hey, just remember too, the cap right now is like $198 million, and it could drop significantly next year. We don't really know. I think the floor is like 175, but you got to prepare for that because you just don't know what the revenue losses are going to be around the league.
Yeah, things are going to definitely be different moving forward, and you expect it to hopefully stay similar after COVID-19 and after everything kind of works itself out there, but it's still something that's a little bit uncertain across the league, and I mean that's even across the league. It's not just the Cowboys that are having to deal with that sort of thing moving forward. But let's get into this Rams matchup, and we kind of previewed it a little bit yesterday, just speaking on exactly who could come out and have that breakout game if this 53-man roster is good enough to challenge the Rams, and we'll make our predictions on Friday. But I think overall this has been, and just looking back at the history of the Rams and the Cowboys, this is one of the more interesting series I think the Cowboys have had against the franchise across each of their organization's history. I mean, it's the 32nd all-time meeting, and the Cowboys lead the all-time series 18-17. And so it's been even, which is not something you can say with a lot of the series throughout the Cowboys' organizational history, especially those who they have played since 1960. Of course, this being the 61st season of Dallas Cowboys football, this is a team they played in their first season as a franchise, and they've been able to kind of go back and forth and trade blows all the way through. Now, the Cowboys have won 4 of the last 5 regular season matchups, and they defeated the Rams last year 44-21 in a beatdown at AT&T Stadium on Week 15 of last year. But, guys, this is not the same Los Angeles Rams team by any means. And, Heckma, I know you've been doing your research. You've been looking at the Rams overall. But on the offensive side of the football, this isn't the same running attack that they've had in the past. No Todd Gurley, no C.J. Anderson. Of course, he's been gone for a little bit longer than Gurley has. But this is a team that might struggle to run the football a little bit, aren't they?
No, well, Sean McVay is he is the passing guru, right? And last year, based off of the numbers, they just completely abandoned the run altogether. And so thinking about them going forward as a running team, and I know we're going to get into their offensive line and some of their woes that they are experiencing there, but the rookie that they picked up from Florida State, Cam Akers, if you read any of the beat writers stuff coming out of Los Angeles, these guys are high on him, really expecting for him to make a step this year in being, I wouldn't say an improvement over Todd Gurley, no, but at the same time, be someone that can be productive in that backfield. Which Rams team are we going to see? Are we going to see the Rams from last year, again, who abandoned the run? Sean McVay, the boy genius 3 years ago. I mean, the guy can't remember what he ate for breakfast in first grade. So we just have to know it and just understand that no matter what, the Cowboys know that they're facing a very multi-dimensional offense that can play a plethora of tempos. So it's going to be interesting, especially being the first game without having any tape on what they did in the preseason.
Isaiah, whenever it comes to this running attack, and we'll start kind of going through the passing attack here in the second segment, but what is it like replacing a face of the franchise? I mean, that's what Todd Gurley was. I mean, he was the equivalent of what Ezekiel Elliott has been to the Cowboys the last couple of years. He was the equivalent of that to the Los Angeles Rams. Even from the move from St. Louis to L.A., he was really that first face of the reestablished L.A. franchise of the Rams. What is it like replacing a guy like that, not only from an organizational standpoint, but specifically in the locker room?
Yeah, I wish I could talk to the locker room side of things over in terms of how things went down over there, because I know it was a little shaky in terms of his exit, right? I mean, obviously they started cutting back his reps. They were out there putting out reports that he's healthy. We're just getting some other guys some reps, and we come to find out he has his knees really bothering him. So I'm not sure how the locker room setting was there, but in terms of somebody with his stature, somebody in his position leaving the organization, I think those are hard shoes to fill. Obviously you got Malcolm Brown, who's been there, who's probably going to be the starter in game one. You have a kind of a whole onslaught of rookies behind them that are going to be helping out. And you hear McVay talking about there's going to be a running back committee. I don't see 3 running backs rotating through a game. You just not in this league. You don't see it happening. So collectively, I think these guys will figure it out. As my guy Heck already alluded to, and we'll talk about more, their offensive line is not where they want to be. So the combination of their offensive line and some new running backs, I'm not sure if you really replace that dude, Todd Gurley.
Well, you also mentioned the offensive line, and one of the keys to overcoming a little bit of offensive line deficiency, Rob, is to have a receiving running back, somebody who can dump the football off to. The 2 guys that are backing up, or at least the 2 guys that are up in the top 3 of the depth chart of that running back by committee, Darrell Henderson out of Memphis and Malcolm Brown out of Texas. Those 2 last year combined for 6 receptions and just over 50 yards all year as receiving threats. What is it like? Yeah. And I know they've got a rookie in Cam Akers out of Florida State that's going to make an impact in the receiving game, but is that something that you could potentially foresee because of the offensive line issues, Rob?
Yeah, potentially. That's interesting. That's a lot different from having Todd Gurley on your team, who can pretty much do it all, right? It's interesting about Henderson. Skip Pete, the Cowboys running backs coach, coached him last year and actually was familiar with Tony Pollard here in Dallas because of the Memphis tape, because they were teammates in college. You guys spoke to the depth chart, and I'm with Isaiah. Like, I don't see how you have 3 different backs rotating in the game. I think Cam Akers is the 3rd running back listed on their unofficial depth chart. But, Sean McVay came out the other day and said, hey, we may come out with all 3 backs in the same formation to start off the game. Right. Or we may go 5 wide with nobody back there. So they're trying to do what the Cowboys are doing and keep you guessing. It has been a staple of their offense to have that passing game, have that versatility with your running backs. We'll see what they do. They're a little different offensively in their passing game because they traded Brandon Cooks. So somebody's going to have to help supplement some of that somewhere.
Oh, they have it too.
Yeah, I think they need somebody to supplement that. And they've said that they're going to rely on Cam Akers quite a bit. I mean, this is a second-round rookie. They didn't have a first-round pick, but they had 2 second-round picks, and each of them were on the offensive side of the football. We'll talk about Van Jefferson, the other pick that was in that second round, coming up in the second segment. But I think whenever you look at the identity, and Heckma mentioned it a minute ago, and I'll go back to you here in a second, but they did abandon the run last year, and they went to the passing attack, which was kind of interesting. I mean, they ended up as the 4th best passing attack in all of football, and you had Jared Goff, who turned around and put up some pretty impressive numbers. 3rd in the league in passing yards, behind, of course, Dak Prescott and Jameis Winston, and he was actually 2nd in the league with pass completions of 20-plus or more yards. So he had those numbers. They abandoned the passing attack. They went with Sean McVay's boy genius style of play, like Heckman was mentioning, but it was just going away from that identity. Do you think the passing attack is the new identity, though, Heckma?
No, I really don't. And when I look at the similarities between the Rams and the Dallas Cowboys last year, there are just a lot of empty calories. And I'm talking empty calories because of this keto diet that's killing me. But it's just one of those things where I feel like a team that waits to the second half to become a part of what's going on. You see those late game rallies where they try and come back 9-7, and the numbers don't lie. 22 touchdowns, 4,600 yards from Goff. But when I do a comparison between Goff and Dak, I mean, I'll take Dak every time. That's just me, right? But both of these guys coming in at the same time in the league. The passing game looked really good late in the season. But with the additions of Van Jefferson from Florida, I think that really, the Cooks free agency they kind of nullified it with this guy Jefferson, because I think he is probably as dynamic a receiver as we've seen come into the league. Just really smooth, and a coach's kid. And coach's kids, man, when you turn on the tape, they just do consistently the good things over and over and over. No wasted motion. The kid is just really explosive, smooth route runner. And Isaiah, I know that's somebody you can look at and can appreciate what he's doing from a rookie perspective.
Yeah, no, I mean, these guys are, they're receiving core. There's no question about whether these guys are going to be good, right? I was surprised to see that they kept 4 tight ends. That's very odd, to say the least, but I think that's a testament also to their offensive line, as we talked about yesterday, in terms of being able to help when you're not that sure of your offensive line, especially your tackles. But their receiving core is solid, man. I mean, there's no questions there. We know about Kupp, we know about Woods. Obviously we got the rookie coming in. They're solid in that regard. The question is, are they going to be able to protect, right? And I don't really see that happening against our front.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. That's absolutely the biggest thing. Sorry, Goff, he put up some numbers like Kyle said, but I don't think it wasn't his best season of his young career so far. I think he was picked off maybe 15, 16 times. Yep. I think he was sacked like the fewest times in the league, but he's a guy that had to get the ball out quickly last year. I just don't think they found the rhythm of their offense. And like Heckma said, they got behind in games last year and had to play catch up. I don't think that's the new trend. I think they're going to try to be balanced. I think everybody wants to be balanced if you can. And they do have the receivers to do that. And Tyler Higbee's an excellent tight end. And they do try to use both their tight ends. I mean, I think Everett is another guy that they try to get involved. So their offense is all about versatility, tempo, different formations, and try to throw you off that way.
But I mean,
Higbee is dynamic, and Gerald Everett as well. We've talked about the NFC East and the tight ends that we're going to see in this division. We get a good sample size of what we're going to see with Higbee and Everett starting Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that 1-2 punch is going to be nice. But to Kyle's point, these guys, the Rams are based around a run. Even though they have the ability to throw the thing all over the field, they need a solid run game. Right. And that's why they had the season they had last year, because they didn't establish that. And, and Gurley was hurt, and they're bringing guys from home to come play, and all kinds of other stuff, so they just really never got that established. And I think even amongst their abilities and their talents that they have at every other position, if they can't tote the rock, and then it becomes one-sided, and as a defense, you can stop that.
Yeah, they haven't had a problem with that. They haven't had a problem with being one-sided, and I think that's the surprising thing about McVay and the scheme that he's using is that if all else fails, we just gonna throw that pork all over the field.
I think that's a fantastic way to put it, because even though they were a little bit one-dimensional last year, they still were the 7th best total offense, because one, they put up so many good numbers on the passing side, even with the turnovers that Rob was mentioning. Because I agree, I don't think it was Jared Goff's best year, but he just had more passing attempts to accumulate those numbers with. That's why they ended up with the 27th best running game in all of the NFL, so the 5th worst running game in the NFL last year. But there's plenty to talk to, and we'll talk about some of these receivers coming up here in just a moment. But before we go to break, I wanted to remind you, whether you're watching from home or from cheering in the stands, which nobody will be cheering in the stands at SoFi Stadium this weekend, but Essilor lenses, you'll see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essilor experts and find the perfect Essilor lens for you. See more, do more. Essilor. When we come back, CeeDee Lamb ain't the only rookie receiver that's on the field come this Sunday night. We'll tell you who could give the Cowboys some fits in the passing game when we return here on Talkin Cowboys.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys? Jack Black. Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Ah, music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here for segment number 2 here of Talkin' Cowboys. Kyle Yeomans, Heckma Harrison, Isaiah Stanback, and Cowboys insider Rob Phillips. Glad you're with us here on this Wednesday morning. Every weekday morning at 9:30, Talkin' Cowboys. From here till the rest of the season, you can't get enough of Talkin' Cowboys, or we're going to give you more than you want, either one. Week 1, episode 2 is where we're at. And, of course, the Cowboys playing the Rams this Sunday night. 7 o'clock is the broadcast time. 7:20 is kickoff. And I almost said first pitch. I almost went back to my baseball days there, but that's not the case. I would hope it's not first pitch. But they are going to be throwing the ball around a little bit. And we were just talking about the passing attack and exactly what comes to the table whenever it's the Los Angeles Rams. And with the Cowboys right now, we mentioned yesterday some of the concern is in the linebacking core, but really the biggest concerns are in the secondary. And I think the secondary has been something that we absolutely have really a lot of question marks about heading into this season. And I think this is a game where they're going to get tested, Rob. And this is a tough challenge already with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, who were each 1,100-yard receivers. But then you turn around, you've got Van Jefferson added to the mix. That's a trio of wide receivers that's just as good, at least on paper, as what really the Cowboys are starting to put out there. Maybe not as good, but they're at least in that conversation as one of the better wide receiving cores in the entire NFL. How is this secondary going to stack up?
Well, don't forget Josh Reynolds, my guy from Texas A&M.
Okay. Gig him out. There you go. Throw that out there.
Gig him, yeah. I mean, now the rookie's probably pushing him for playing time, though. Van Jefferson, like Heckman mentioned earlier, having a great camp from what we've heard in L.A. So it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how the Cowboys deploy their cornerbacks. And I know we saw the unofficial depth chart, and it's got Anthony Brown, it's got Trayvon Diggs potentially as a starter. I wonder how they use those guys and how they might rotate guys possibly to combat that. The other thing, I mentioned the tight ends earlier. That's something else. It's all about matchups. And the Cowboys, I will say this, the Cowboys have enough versatility to handle that. I think, a guy like Darryl Worley can step down in the box, cover tight ends. I think Cheeto could do it. Byron Jones, that was kind of his job in the past, but they do have some versatility to be able to do that. But you're right, Kyle. I mean, this is a really potent receiving core on paper, and what we've seen from Jared Goff, we saw it a couple years ago in the playoff game when they really protected him well against Dallas. When he has time to set his feet, man, he is really, really accurate. He can throw balls into tight windows to guys. So it's going to be about the pressure up front more than anything for me.
Hey, Rob, question, but I don't want to let this slide because I feel like this might be a little topic that we can touch on real quick. It sounded like Kyle was super confident that the Cowboys receiving core is better than the Rams receiving core.
Sounded like it. Yeah.
I'm confident. Kyle? Yeah, I would be confident in that. I wouldn't say there's a ginormous gap nonetheless.
No, Jack. But if we were putting it on a scale, would you say the Cowboys roster, the Cowboys receiving core, or the Rams receiving core? I love it. I can't wait to hear Heck, but
Cowboys,
I got to hear Kyle first.
And then Rams for sure. The Cowboys have the best receiving core in the NFL. I have no doubt. After seeing what CeeDee Lamb has done in training camp and the amount of expectations that I have already for CeeDee Lamb because of how much stock I put in him during draft time, the Cowboys have the best wide receiving core.
Heck.
I want to know.
Well, look. Okay, so let's do it. That's what we're here for, right? So
we here.
We're here. All right. No, to me, the Rams with Woods and Kupp, just they're dynamic together, and I believe 2,000-yard receivers, and that's why I did the whole comparison between the Rams. And the Cowboys, but I feel like there's a bit of an advantage there between that duo. But as far as Amari Cooper, for us, I would take Amari Cooper over any of those guys. But at the same time, I want to see how CeeDee Lamb fits in our scheme. But I think Van Jefferson has the same thing that CeeDee Lamb has. All the pressure is not on him. He knows that he has 2,000-yard receivers, and you're gonna have to respect what Cooper Kupp does because he's a guy that can catch it and take a slant route to the house, right? Yep. And so all of those things being combined, like I said, Van Jefferson coming into the league, coach's kid, his father, Sean Jefferson. Hey, Kyle, he was catching balls in the NFL when you were being swallowed. Ooh. He had the little baby cap on.
Hey, just in case our listeners don't know, this young man is 6'1", 200 pounds, and ran a 4.38, correct? Speed. Okay, just making sure that everybody knew that.
Speeding. And he has that real in-game speed. It's one thing to run a 4.3 just because you practiced up for it, but it's another thing to be actual 4.3 field speed. Gas. And that's what Van Jefferson has. So he's one of those 0 to 60 guys and 100 guys. And when you asked me that question, you kind of threw me off my point, but at the same time, I just want to make sure that I don't jump out the cake on that because and again, it's not a 1A, 1B. It's just as far as the separation overall. But I would tilt it a little bit over to the Rams.
You're scared. You're scared of Isaiah.
So Isaiah, you got the Rams number one? I
have the Rams. I agree with Kyle. I'm going to give Kyle some kudos. Right? I agree with Kyle when it comes to and Heck when it comes to Cooper. I'd rather have Cooper than any of those guys that are on the table. But when we look at the receiving core holistically, right, you cannot bypass the fact that they have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Right, those guys are two of the best in the league that are doing it right now. I mean, you don't think about them as in the same conversation as a Cooper or Jones or any of these guys, but when they're on the field together, these boys are putting up yards with 1,100 yards each, right? Yeah. Each, right?
Super
and all
efficient.
Super efficient, right? And now you throw in another, super qualified rookie that's going to come in there and play the role of the third guy. That's a proven collegiate player. Holistically, these guys are better. I think they're more rounded, better, well-rounded receivers than just a Cooper, who really, he's a dude, right? But you're not putting Cooper out there to run every route. Let's be honest, right? And you're not putting Gallup out there to run every route, right? But when you talk about Robert Woods and you talk about Kupp, these guys can run everything. Right, and they're going to catch the ball. They're going to break tackles, and they're going to get that yak yards. Right, so all of a sudden you throw a third guy in there who's complimentary. I think overall they have a better receiving core. Rob, what you got?
I hadn't compared the two, to be honest with you, but I think you make great points because I think if they had Cooper Kupp 2 years ago, they might have won the Super Bowl. They might have beaten the Patriots. Because they needed somebody else to make plays in that game. Maybe nobody was beating Belichick in that game. I don't know. No, But yeah, no, I think they're very comparable in terms of having a kind of a wild card and a rookie receiver with a lot of talent that could elevate the whole group. And I'm just, if CeeDee Lamb can carry over what we saw in camp, he looked like a number one wide receiver in practice. So, if he can do that as sometimes the third option, I mean, I think the Cowboys do have a chance to be right up there. I think Tampa Bay, obviously, and with Tom Brady as the quarterback in Tampa, they have a chance to have the best receiving core in the NFC, too.
I completely agree. And the fact that all three of these are being compared, and we are going to throw Tampa in the mix because I think what they have down in Florida is fantastic as well. I don't know if I'd put them number one. I still –
Wait a minute.
Listen, here's the thing. I've been itching. Isaiah put me – Isaiah wanted to kind of put me on the spot, and I'm ready for this because I completely disagree. I think it's Cowboys 1, Tampa 2, Rams 3, and here's why. So Amari Cooper last year, you're talking about – okay, first off, let's just say off of what your answer was, Isaiah. I respect the hell out of you, but your answer was, the Rams have two 1,100-yard receivers and a rookie wide receiver that's qualified and is going to come in and be NFL ready. What is different about that than what the Cowboys have? They each have two 1,100 yards returning receivers and a rookie that's way better than Van Jefferson. I was really high on Van Jefferson coming into the draft, but CeeDee Lamb is different. CeeDee Lamb is what could be one of the best receivers in the NFL if he continues what we've seen in training camp and continue what the stock was of him draft-wise because of what he could do to change a franchise. So I think if you're talking about these three guys, the only one that you're disrespecting right now, I still feel like would be Michael Gallup. And here's the thing, Michael Gallup led all 6 of those receivers last year in yards per reception. He had almost 17 yards per reception when Cooper Kupp had 12.5 and Woods just barely had 12.5. Gallup had almost 5 yards more per reception, Isaiah, and this is a guy who's just barely emerging and is still ascending in the NFL. This is the best receiving core in the NFL, and you can't even fight me on it because they are.
My goodness.
Thank you.
Hey, Kyle. If you have hate in your heart, let it out. I've been waiting on that to come out of you all doggone year. That's what I needed. I needed you to have that. That was really just poking the bear right there. I knew you had it in you.
Well,
now what about? I mean, are we not gonna include New Orleans in their receiving core?
No, New Orleans has a heck of a lot, but Tampa's the best. Tampa's the best. That's not even a question. Tampa's the best. They have the best core. Not even a conversation.
Not even a conversation.
Not even a conversation.
You got something personal against that.
No, not at all. Hey, not at all. I'm just saying, I respect these guys, but to your point, yes, 2 1,100-yard receivers head to head. Boom. I'm not really a stats guy. I'm really not a stats guy because there's so much more that goes into the game than just stats.
Absolutely.
The Rams receiving core is a lot more versatile than the Cowboys. Facts. Their route running ability is better overall.
I still think you're discounting Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. I think those two guys are just as versatile as what you could see out of Kupp.
CeeDee, yes. CeeDee, yes. Yeah, but when we're looking at it overall, I'm putting Woods or Kupp all over the place. I don't have to put them at just when we think about Amari Cooper, he's going to be on the outside.
He could be in the slot.
You're putting him outside. And if he's inside, he can. And if he's going to run an over route or a go. He's going to run an over route or a go. Like, you know what he's going to run. Or a one-step slant. So he's limited in that regard versus Kupp and Woods. Those guys, you don't know what route they're going to run.
It's true.
It's interesting. Hey, but what about factoring in just the rest of the offense, though, that can make those guys – I mean, we just talked about the Rams running back group. They don't have a Zeke. They don't have a guy, right now, that can take the pressure off and create that balance. I think having Zeke is, and vice versa too. I think if you put the 3 top wide receivers on the field with Blake Jarwin, that in certain packages, man, that's going to make Zeke's job so much easier too.
And you know what? And the Cowboys should be on paper are substantially more efficient and better team on the offensive side of the ball than the Rams are. That's not even a question.
Yeah,
right?
You're just talking about just straight up.
I'm talking about straight comparing to wide receivers, head to head. Yeah, our offense is not even comparable right now. Not until they show that they have a running game.
No, Champ, you have a point, especially with Gallup in comparing him to Woods and Kupp, and that may be where the difference is. But to your point, Rob, about the running game, even with Cam Akers, one of the things coming out of camp about him is the fact that he can't pass protect. So being that he can't pass protect and they have a $100 million quarterback, I think that may be a little bit of a tilting of your hand every time we see Cam Akers on the field. But it's the tight ends for me and what they do in that offense that I think is going to make the difference in this football game. And so I want to see how the Cowboys defensively, whether it be with Worley, I don't know if Jordan Lewis is going to be able, I think it's a game time decision or is not going to play. But either way, in our nickel and dime packages, it's going to be very important whether we relegate a linebacker to that tight end, covering the tight end. We're going to have our hands full with that, not only with Kupp, not only with the other Woods, and not only with Jefferson, but in the passing game, I think the tight ends, they make a lot of noise for the Rams.
Absolutely. Higbee and Everett, that's a cold 1-2 punch at the tight end position. Since we're in the season of comparing, I don't think that's a comparison either. I think that they definitely have the edge on us in that regard. I think that's
My God.
I'm just saying. I'm telling you.
I can't disagree with that. Higbee.
He throw the whole offense away.
Our offense collectively is better than the Rams' offense. I'm gonna put that out there so that can be quoted. However,
only because of Zeke.
Not only because of Zeke. We also factor in the offensive line as well. Right, our offensive line is more established, right? And Dak is there too, right? But Jared Goff is pretty doggone good himself, right? So Dak and Jared Goff, Dak probably has the edge, of course, but overall our offense is better. Now, offensive coordinators, we're gonna see what happens with that in terms of their battle, because that's a battle that nobody ever talks about. We spend a lot of time talking about the players. When we talk about the offensive coordinators, they're having a battle as well, and the defensive coordinators. So we'll see.
Lots of debate, and that's what makes this matchup fun. Is the fact that it's not cut and dry. It's not the fact that you're going into this matchup thinking, oh, it's going to be a 1-0 season to start for the Dallas Cowboys. This is a tough matchup. This is not going to be a cakewalk in the first game of Mike McCarthy's tenure as the head coach of the Cowboys. It's going to take a little bit of a moxie to get it done, even with no fans on the road. This is going to take a conservative effort from the Cowboys in order to come out of L.A. with a W. Before we had the break, if you're looking for something to change up your dinner routine, help support local Frisco businesses, and go choose one of the Star District's local restaurants. For more information on delivery, takeout, curbside pickup, and dine-in availability, visit thestardistrict.com. When we come back, do the Cowboys make a secret scheme change? We'll take a look at the depth chart because it sure looks like it when we come back here on Talkin Cowboys.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
One final segment here on Talkin Cowboys. Kyle Yeomans, Heckma Harrison, and Rob Phillips. I'm not going to mention Isaiah Stanback because he thinks that the Cowboys receivers are not as good as the LA Rams.
It's all love.
That's Isaiah Stanback. He's outstanding, and he knows football probably better than any of us because he's the only one that's got a Super Bowl ring. So.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah, you're right. I can't concede that just yet. I got to argue with him sometimes.
Let's do it.
So, guys, over the past 24 hours, the Cowboys did their weekly media release, and they kind of give out their game notes, and they release the depth chart officially from the PR team, and there was something kind of intriguing on here that I wanted to break down. And if you haven't seen it, it's on Todd Archer's Twitter account. You can go find Todd Archer. That's the one I'm at least looking at now. I might even tweet it out later on just so you can look at it. But there were 4 down linemen, it looks like, where it says DeMarcus Lawrence, Dontari Poe, Tristan Hill, and Tyrone Crawford are your defensive linemen that are on the first string of the depth chart. Then there's this thing called the strong linebacker, the Sam linebacker, and there's an Aldon Smith right there. And there's a Dorrance Armstrong right there as well. Rob and Isaiah and Heckma, guys, we've talked about this all offseason. Are we starting to see a little bit of a scheme change? Now, this wouldn't be 3-4. It'd be more like a 4-3 under type of thing.
Yeah, which is like the same thing, really.
Which is exactly,
honestly,
which is pretty much the same thing.
So, Kyle, you're talking about 270-pound linebackers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No.
That's what we're throwing out there. I mean, the fact that Aldon Smith and Dorrance Armstrong were listed on here as the Sam linebacker, otherwise known as the strong side linebacker, means they're going to be off the line of scrimmage. They're going to be standing up, which we've seen during training camp from time to time, but do we take any stock in this, or is this Mike McCarthy still playing games with not giving up any kind of information?
Yeah, that's playing games and giving you a little bit more of that mystery juice. Let's call it that before the first game. Because, I mean, they have players all out of position. We have CeeDee Lamb returning kicks, Tony Pollard returning punts, so I don't put any stock in it at all.
You got 10 players listed on offense?
That'll work.
Yeah, that's the main reason I don't. But yeah, I mean, look, we talked all offseason. This is going to be a multiple defense. Yeah. So, I think they're going to give a lot of different looks. And actually, when Mike Nolan was asked about what Randy Gregory could give him when he comes back to practice and games, he mentioned Sam / designated pass rusher. So I think that's kind of the same role they look at Aldon Smith. But yeah, I don't. You can't look at that and say, oh yeah, we got it figured out now. we got to see what happens on the field.
And, of course, with Sean Lee being a part of being placed on the IR list, you even have Luke Gifford who was banged up. And Rob, you mentioned yesterday there was a point in time this past weekend where there were 2 healthy linebackers on your entire roster before they were able to go out and re-sign Joe Thomas and make sure that that everything was kind of put back into place after they cleared waivers. But is this just a direct proponent of maybe the multiple defensive look? Is it really something that, and Isaiah, you might be able to answer this, is this just something coaches do, especially at a time like this when there really isn't a whole lot of information out there? Or is this just, hey, we're filling a position of need when Sean Lee's out at the moment?
Man, I played for this dude named Bill Belichick, and you want to talk about somebody who puts out smoking guns. I mean, this guy would throw anything out there. He would put out there on the injury report that everybody's injured.
Tom Brady was on the injury report every week one season.
Every week,
yeah,
right? And you get no information. So this is definitely something that coaches just do. But I also think that there is some truth to it. I think that with our linebacker woes that we currently have, I think you're going to see 3 linebackers. I think sometimes you're going to see 2 linebackers. I think you're going to see Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch in there, and you're going to see 3 true defensive linemen, and you're going to see 2 defensive ends that are standing up as outside linebackers. I think you're going to see all kinds of stuff, and Nolan's going to have a heck of a time playing around with these guys, but you have to think about how deep we are at that D-line position, defensive line position. You have to rotate guys in at linebacker or whatever else you want to call them, because we just have too many guys. If you only played our defensive linemen as true D linemen, nobody would get in the game. You only only have, maybe 6 guys rotating through. So that's not going to be the case, obviously. We're going to be rotating guys in and out like crazy. And so don't be surprised when you see just Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith in there as true linebackers and everybody else is defensive linemen.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a chance that the defensive line is going to play a massive role in this game coming up on Sunday. And just to get you a little excited about maybe some of the past success that these two teams have had, or at least that the Cowboys have had, the players that are on the Cowboys, Everson Griffin, when he was with Minnesota, played 4 career games against the Rams. How about this stat line? 11 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 12 pressures, and an interception in 4 games. That's 4 games worth of a stat line. That's called dominance.
Wow.
Then you've got DeMarcus Lawrence, 7 tackles, a sack, 7 quarterback pressures, and 2 tackles for loss in only 3 games against the Los Angeles Rams of all time in his career.
Poor
overall.
Whitworth.
Yeah, Whitworth's 38 years old, and he's going to be battling against 2 of some of the better edge rushers in all of the NFL.
Do you guys think Whitworth is there a way that we could make Whitworth retire in the second quarter? Like, you know how the kids do in the Under Armour high school games? In second quarter, just sign it. I'm quitting right here, dog.
Hey,
done.
Just imagine if you're Whitworth, right, and you're watching the Cowboys offseason acquisitions. And you just every week you're like, come on, man.
Week 1, yeah.
He's sitting over there by himself. He goes, man, I should have retired last year if this is going to be the case. Here's the thing, though, about Whitworth. I mean, you talk about respect in the league. That's a guy who just gets it done. Doesn't matter where he's been. Yep. Doesn't matter how long he's been in the league. They said it on Hard Knocks. There was a line on Hard Knocks last night where they said, well, he's been playing in the league for 100 years, and the reason why he'll play in the league 100 more years is because of his demeanor and his leadership and everything that he brings to the table. So, I mean, you can joke around about how he's 38 years old and he's been in the league forever, but he's been in the league forever for a good reason, and there's a reason he's the only left tackle on the entire Los Angeles Rams depth chart at the moment, because he's a cornerstone, and he's somebody that's going to protect Jared Goff quite well. He's got a tough task ahead of him, though. Everson Griffin and DeMarcus Lawrence, those are 2 guys. Alden Smith, you can throw him in there as well. Those are 3 guys.
A lot of fresh legs.
3 guys that are coming right at him, and we'll see that on Sunday night. But that's going to do it here for Talking Cowboys. Hope you enjoyed it over the last 45 minutes. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll preview the Rams defense and talk about how the Cowboys offense and that top wide receiving group in the entire NFL will match up against that Rams secondary. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll debate some more. But for Isaiah Standback, for Rob Phillips, and for Heckma Harrison, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from the SWBC Mortgage Studios. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!